Everybody, welcome to Uncommon Analysis. Today, I want to take a few minutes to talk about the California wildfires in the LA region. I haven't spoken about this intentionally for the last week because, like most things in life, right, there's going to be a whole lot of political haymaking and craziness that goes on whenever something bad happens. It's just the nature of our world today in the United States, unfortunately. However, as you can see by this headline, the spin has begun to protect the outcome of this fire. Let me start out by saying, at this point, there is no way you can deny that governmental incompetence played a role in these fires. None. Okay? The brush has not been cleared in decades. They've cut budgets. They've, had all kinds of things. We know the reservoirs weren't full, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. We know that the LA Fire Department has prioritized DEI without question above other things. This is something it's in the news. We can find article after article about. We can find video after video about. I'm not even going to go into that. We know at this point. Now, I'm not saying these fires would not have happened otherwise, and I'm not saying people would not have lost their homes otherwise. But for anyone to stand up and say political incompetence did not contribute to this outcome is just lying to themselves. But you can see, here's an article from CNN. They're trying to spin that. This is what they want now. They're trying to protect the left from the consequence of their action, particularly Gavin Newsom, because he wants to be president someday. And his presidential aspirations are pretty much gone, in my opinion, after this. I don't think you're going to see him even be in the running. No one's going to take him seriously after what he's done. I just don't see. I could be wrong. It's possible. But CNN, no water system in the world could have handled the LA fires. And that may be true. The fires that occurred, I don't know if any fire water system could have prevented them at the scope they are now. But we do know they cut the budgets. We do know, right, that Newsom cut the budgets by $100 million. We know that the LA mayor cut fire budgets by $17 million and wanted another $50 million. It's been reported. We know that the fire breaks were not maintained. The underbrush was not cleared out. We know that many, many things that you would expect to have been taken care of by a competent government would have been. We know that, for example, why was the mayor even in Gagne? Was she on the clock? Did the state pay for this? And even if it was a formal thing and it was part of her job, why is the mayor of L.A. going to Gagne in the first place? What relevance is that relationship to her doing her job? When she came back, she had no answers. This stuff been raging for days, but she came back. She just stood there when she was getting hounded by the press and said nothing. She was going to fire. And she didn't fire. I don't know if she has fired the LA fire chief. I'm willing to concede that I don't know if water in the pipes would have mattered with the mess that was being created by the absolute malfeasance and incompetence up to that point. CNN, I at this point, I'm not going to argue that all the water in the world may not prevent where we are today, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. But this is them trying to prevent the damage that the left is getting taken on the chin. I mean, Gavin Newsom's pretty much political career and aspiration for the White House, I think, are going up in smoke in front of everybody's eyes, in front of his eyes. I don't think you're going to see him be a serious contender. I think he was definitely one of the names that constantly got dropped when you talk about Democrats for 2028. I don't think he'll even get off the ground now with this. I think his political aspirations for higher office are done. He could get appointed by somebody to some position, perhaps, but in terms of elected position in the White House, I think he's done. I think it's interesting, to say the least, that they're going into defense mode, right? This is where we're going to go now. I expect a lot of stories like this. I would expect the left and the news, quote unquote, to start trying to come up with every excuse because they're losing everybody. Even the left wing celebrities, right, that out there in California are turning on these folks as their homes get burned, as their schools get burned, as their neighborhoods are now nothing but ash. They can't escape culpability at this point. There is no way you can look at this overall event and not say the government did its best. Right? You could say, okay, all the water in the world wouldn't prevent this from happening or couldn't stop this with the Santa Ana winds flaring up, blah, blah, blah. That may be true, but that doesn't explain the years of neglect of the underbrush, of the fire breaks, and everything else that made this more likely to happen. So all that falls on incompetent governance, all of it. And what is LA? A one-party city, completely ruled by liberals and Democrats. And like it or not, they're going to try their best to spin it away. And I'm not saying that's the only cause. Okay? I am not saying this only happened because liberals and Democrats run LA. What I am saying is you cannot ignore government incompetence as a contributing factor to this. You just can't. The overwhelming majority is there. You can say it's not the only cause. You could say it wouldn't have mattered. You'd say, yeah, if we had water in those pipes, it wouldn't matter. And it's true. It may not have mattered if they'd had that reservoir filled up or not. It may not have mattered if those hydrants had run dry at 3 a.m. or not. This fire may still be raging anyway. But you cannot escape that California and LA prioritize things other than fire prevention, took money from those budgets, did not do the things that should have been done for whatever reason. You also cannot escape the fact, whether it's right or wrong, that the LA Fire Department and prioritized diversity, equity, and inclusion over fighting fires. Now, that you may not like to say that, but there's no doubt about it. You can just look at anything in the news regarding the fire department of LA the last 5 years or whatever it is. The priority is always diversity, making sure this, that. That's what you read. That's what you see. Every single article. It is not about how good they are, how well equipped they are, how ready they are. It's about they've got they got 3 lesbians in the top positions. They're making sure to diversify the fire department, etc. This is insane. Okay, I don't care who shows up at my house. You even have them arguing. There's a video here somewhere where they're advocating. We want somebody to show up at the house that looks just like them. I got news for you. My house is burning down. I don't give a flying fuck what skin color the person showing up to fight it is. And I don't think 99.999% of people do either. If they have an emergency event, they in need for emergency services, I don't think for 1 minute 99.999% of the people give a flying fuck what color the skin is or whether or not there's a tallywhacker between their legs that shows up to help them. They want a person who can help them, has the skills to help them, and the ability to help them. Okay? Period. This left-wing prioritization of that certainly is going to get lambasted, and rightly so. Now, I'm not saying that's why this happened. I'm not saying that's why these fires are as bad as they are, is because they focus on that, but there's no way of running away from this. But they're going to try because they're trying their best to save their little castle here. And for anybody looking at it, there's no way to look at this and not see the political aspects of this. Like I said, I don't like to jump into these type of events and lambaste and throw politics around. This is why I stay quiet for quite a long time on this issue. But at this point, there's no way you can deny politics and ineptitude of the political leadership of LA and the California played a role in these events. There's none. Now the media is likely going to continue to do things to try to minimize it. I don't expect these types of stories to go away. Expect more of them, I would bet you, in the coming days. Now that it's now a part of the mainstream, it's there. The initial shock and awe has worn off. Get ready for the defense. Get ready for the defensive moves by the left to try to say it wasn't our fault. And some of it will be true. Like this, I don't doubt that more water in those pipes probably would not have stopped a lot of what happened. But that's not the underlying problem. That's just a symptom of the underlying problem. The underlying problem is they did not prioritize fire prevention. They took money from these budgets. They didn't do the jobs. They prioritized things that should not have been. There's no doubt there's a political component to this. There's no doubt it's incompetence by the political leadership in this. There's no way around that. So they can argue these things, and they may be true, but you can't deny. You can't deny Newsom cut budgets. The mayor cut budgets. The fire breaks were not taken care of. The underbrush was not cleared. You cannot run away from those things. These are things that should have been done by a competent leadership, by a competent political leadership, by competent people in charge, and they weren't. They took money, they diverted it, they did other things with it, right? They neglected the fundamentals, which eventually led to what we're dealing with today. All right. So what do you think? Do you think that, all this, was inevitable? Do you think there was indeed political incompetence? Do you believe the political incompetence is the main reason? I don't believe it's necessarily the main reason. I think it was a huge contributor to why we are where we are. I don't think it's the main reason the fires keep burning per se. I think it's a contributor to why the fires became what they did to begin with. Anyway, if you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, share, and I hope everybody has a great day. And I am out.